Again, good evening, everyone, and thank you very much again organizing this event and inviting me and Lorraine in this beautiful city once again, and also had the opportunity to be visited again this beautiful insight meditation and be here and discussing a little bit knowledge of the teaching that I learned, and so I'm so grateful for all those opportunities. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you, everyone. Okay, thank you. Before I begin to talk, I'm going to join a few prayers, which is prayers of all those great masters, Buddhas. They did this to removing, freeing the suffering, the difficulties of every living beings, and revere their innate beautiful nature of the joy and peace, harmony. That is the meaning of these prayers, and I'm going to join that few prayers tonight. So please, you all, or we all, meditate. Yes, and then while we are meditating, I'm going to chant these prayers. Yamzim yogen yelo jibze alame zenji lo jibze alame zenji elo. So tonight I'm going to talk about how to heal the sufferings according the teaching of the Buddhist masters and what they practice it. And to do this again, just to talk briefly about what is the sufferings generally. The sufferings. Sufferings generally, we're thinking, is something that unwanted feelings that we have to go through. Why it is coming, or why is it there? According the teaching, or when we think of this, generally, suffering is very natural. It's nothing alien and nothing bad. It is part of just what we are, where we are. It's like season. When we have the different seasons, spring, summer, autumn, and winter. When those different seasons comes, what are those? Is something newly arrived, or is something kind of strange things? What are those generally? If we start thinking, it's nothing, any strange or anything that. It is part of the systems where we live, this universe or this world. It's just exactly the same way. If we want a spring, or we don't want spring. If we want the spring, if we don't want the springs. Or we like to analyze with the summer season or autumn and all those autumns, whatever the seasons. Even we like to do those things, but what we can do is part of the season, part of the nature. That's the way, the way we are now. That is the part. Suffering is part of our systems. Not just only suffering, we have also happiness. Happiness and sufferings, that goes side by side. It's not something that suffering is invading us, or no, happiness is escaping with it, or running away from us. It's a part of the systems. It's all that. If we don't too much analyze on these systems, kind of take that as more natural approach or natural rhythms, then we won't, I don't really we will suffering too much as we suffer. And what is Buddhism we call? Is a samsara. Samsara has all these situations. It's not something that time we came in this world, time we live in this world, there's always this play games of this, something that we want, something that we don't want. It's all is going on all the time. This is also not just happening casually and randomly or without any kind of, just by itself. It's nothing. It has cause. It has conditions. Cause and conditions are bring up whatever that circumstance according to cause and conditions. If it's suffering or unpleasant, that cause condition must be played a role, similar things what we don't like. Even though cause and conditions at times maybe we don't pay attention too much. We always kind of longing, our human mentality, or in the Buddhism teaching always say the duality mind is always picking up the kind of what the duality mind like to be that. We don't pay attention of the how it's developing in the bottom down on at the root levels. But this all happen is not just happening by itself, I said. It has cause and conditions. So the samsara is the result of these unstable situations, changing ups and downs. That is all samsara. And that's what the Buddha named as difficulty, challenges. It's not just a Buddha named because it's when that began to experience by us, it is difficult, it is challenging. And for those reasons, in Buddha teachings named suffering truth. Why is Buddha named as suffering truth? Because it's truly experienced. Whether that is illusion or whether that is just whatever it is, we experience it, it is uncomfortable. It makes uncomfortable, suffering, and we experience that, and therefore it's called suffering truths. So this suffering truth is not just happening by itself. It has cause and conditions, as I said before, and that you all know. Things are not happening here just by itself. It has cause, it has condition. Behind the scene, on the scene, and far beyond the scene, far beyond that scene. All that came together brought that result. That what we see is the result. That cause, if suffering, that one thing that we can tell, if result is suffering, definitely it has caused similarity with that. Something unpleasant, uncomfortable, and kind of unpeaceful. Cause and condition. Because of that cause and condition, both result as difficulty and troubles. Then on the other hand, if it is happiness and good, that also not just happened by itself. It has a cause, it has a condition, it has all same thing, and the cause condition must be also something very pleasing, something kind of appealing, something nice and comfortable, and that because of that, then civilized and formulated and cooperated to each other, those cause and condition, right way, and both the result as happiness and goodness. So therefore, that is what cause of suffering truth, what the Buddha said in the teaching this. Cause and suffering truth is a part of the samsaras. That's what we call samsara, where there is a kind of rotating situation all the time that we cannot really rely on anything. It's unreliable things always happening, one after another. What we like to see is happiness, goodness, good things. But that is not happening all the time. It's always kind of like changing and all that going on and on. And that is, as I said before, time we came on this earth, or the time we born, and time we will leave, we'll have these changes always. So this is a part of nature, part of the systems, part of like, as I use the example as the seasons, summer, spring, winter, and autumn, it's part of the whole systems. Even we want to reject that, we cannot reject. It's part of that. And why we don't suffer with the different changing seasons? Because we accept it. We know these things. We know that. We not become timid with this. Therefore, what we do, one is according to general level, different levels of the Buddha's teaching, how we transform or how we heal the sufferings. There's different levels of the teachings, what Buddha taught. As I kind of like remember, or as used to let a practice of this. The first, the most important is to transform this, or to heal the suffering. we all have to be strong. We have to be strong. We have to be courageous. We have to be kind of fearless. We should not be timid. As I said, use the examples, the seasons. Why we don't suffer with the seasons? All changing of the seasons. This is just roughly examples. Because we accept it. We accept it, and we are not, when we accept it, we're not bothered by too much. Even though season is changing, all time is changing. But suffering is something that we don't accept. And that means, what in the Buddha's teaching said, we become timid. Always we are so sensitive and timid. We won't be, always kind of have the fears that we get sufferings. We're going to get sufferings. We get more fears. More fear and more fears. What this fear does, it makes us timid. Then so sensitive. When you become the more sensitive and timid, then suffering or the situation becomes so powerful, so pressure, so tense. And then it just can kind of completely disrupt it. So in order to first place, to really heal the sufferings, we have to be strong. That is the number one, the foundation. Foundation, fundamental. We have to be strong, courageous, and we have to be think more fearlessness. We have to be as what's called never mind attitudes. We have to open heart. Never mind. I'm going to go through this. I'm going to take care of this. It can not crush me. I'm not going to bother me. If you have that attitude, or not just you, if we have that attitude, that is what we call, generally in samsara or in world, the warriors. Challenge and difficulty comes when they take care of that something that very beautifully, and that challenge and difficulty not crush ourselves. Self, that is known as warriors. These warriorships, the bravery is a hidden quality of our nature. Our nature of the mind, according to Buddhism, is beautiful, brilliant, enlightened, peaceful status. It's fearless status. But timidity and this sensitive issue is brought by our duality. Or if we have kind of ping down this, is the ego clinging. Ego, self-attachment, self-centered thoughts, always kind of very protected thought of our own self. And then, as much as we have that thought, we become always timid, sensitive. Therefore, instead that, kind of open our heart, be fearlessness. Bring up our nature of the warriorships, our nature of the mind. Nature of the mind is beautiful, brilliant, enlightened, pristine. That's what all those great masters, great teachers from the Buddha, everyone said, nature of the mind is pristine, beautiful, heroic, very, very bravery nature. Mind cannot be done by anyone's. Even the Buddhas cannot do anything to the mind. The Buddha is considered in the Buddhism the most powerful things that kind of accomplish everything, overcome everything, and Buddha is totally kind of freedom to every nature, kind of rule the nature as it is. But even that, Buddha cannot do anything to our mind. We have that distinctly beautiful, unique nature, each of us, own way, distinctly that quality. If we bring up that quality, kind of bring up that reality with the fearlessness and with the courage, and our warriorship is really intensifying and growing, and then we become powerful. Then suffering and all these difficult things, what we think, we not be crushed by, we not have to become too timid all the times. We can easily pass through that. So that is a number of kind of very, very fundamental. Have that attitude, have that strong in the Buddhism. You say that. If you have that thought, you can transcend the transcend or free the suffering, heal the suffering into the positives. Suffering is not all the time bad. Suffering is in a way message, in a test of our courage, our knowledge, our understanding, how we handle the skills, methods. That's, in other words, then also the other side, another way, look to the suffering is to cleansing our karmas, cleansing our negativities. It is, we are purifying that. So there is many beautiful aspects of the suffering. It's not suffering is always bad. When you look and read the life story of all those great masters, for example, Buddha Shakyamunis, and all the great masters, when you read this life story, when you look to that, their accomplishment brought by the beginning of suffering. Suffering ignited their realizations. Suffering ignited their courage and commitment and that warriorships. Then they become the great enlightened beings, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. All that. Without that, Buddha, without the suffering, Buddha won't become the Buddha according to Buddhism. Without the suffering, the difficulty, troubles, Bodhisattvas, the one who walks for all the living beings, not become the Bodhisattvas. So this suffering is not something bad. If you really turn the suffering for the right way, it is the most powerful things. There is no history. Happiness brought enlightenment at the beginning time. Happiness ignited the enlightened qualities. There is no. The suffering, the difficulty, the challenges brought this beautiful realization one after another. You read life story of such as Buddha Shakyamunis. Buddha was totally, fully rich, youthful princess, athletic, beauty, skill, method, the knowledge, every in luxuries, and everything is that he has the best in that time. But when seeing the suffering, the difficulties of the subject that has inspired him to become as Buddhas. And then all those great masters that when you read life stories, everyone is really become that great bodhisattva, great enlightened beings because of the difficulty and the sufferings, one after another. And then, for example, Christianity, Jesus Christ, because also external, relative level, he experienced a lot of sufferings, went through that, through the difficulty, suffering, and even what they call cross-fight on the cross. Because of that, it ignited, glorified him as the great beings and the savior of all the mankind. It's not just he's relaxing on the beach and enjoying, trying to get what they call suntans and become the Jesus Christ. I mean, who is that? Staying and enjoying the resort area, all those luxurious area, and then become that. There's no history. You look. All those great beings that what we cherish, what we honor, everyone went through those challenges, and they didn't crush it by that. And they really raise up them, their warriorships, their glories, their beauties, their dignity. Then not just them, that affected so many million beings throughout the generations. This is how all these sufferings, the difficulty, troubles, something unwanted things happened. That brought up that. So therefore, so many times in the teaching you say, suffering is not the suffering, but suffering is the great teacher, great who give the lessons and bring up our warriorship, our realization, so that we can defeat it, we can transcend it, we can change our directions, not just ours, but also can help to the other being, same way in that beautiful status. So that is how this generally about the sufferings or these situations. Now I talk a little bit, that is generally in Buddha's teaching how this is. And now to talk about the generally, again, to kind of more how we deal with the sufferings, how we take care of the sufferings. There's many different teachings, the techniques I mentioned in the Buddha teachings. And this is, again, those are what Buddha said in the teaching said, through the power of the or substances, healing the suffering through the power of the substances, healing the sufferings through the mantras, healing the sufferings through the meditation, and healing the sufferings through the attitudes or understandings. So those are the different ways, again, to deal more closely with that warriorship, with that courage and confidence, fearlessness in accepting the situation, dealing this. So with that, and then to heal the sufferings. And first is substances. Second is like mantras, sacred sounds. And the third is concentration or the meditation. And the fourth is like attitudes, what we have to attitudes. And this is now, we talk about the substances. Substances, generally now, when we're thinking about the sufferings, suffering is, what is really actually, we're now looking to directly close to the sufferings. Is suffering is an object, or is suffering is a subject? If we're thinking of the object and subject levels, what are these sufferings? Suffering is not an object. It's something is subject. And the subject, when we start thinking, according to Buddhism, what is called 5 aggregates. Form aggregates, feeling aggregates, conception aggregates, perception aggregates, and consciousness aggregates. So there is 5 aggregates. Among these 5 aggregates, what are these suffering is? Suffering is, of course, is the mind, but it's more related with the feeling. It is the feeling aggregates. So that is what the feeling. What is this feeling is? Feeling is where? Feeling is how it started feelings. It started with the mind. Started. It reflecting to the physical, it reflecting to the mentally, so it reflected at least in 2 major places. Fundamentally started with the mind, and then it reflecting to the physical, to the mentals. So now that feelings. And how many feelings? According to Buddha's teaching, there is many feelings. But can you summarize all the feelings into 3 feelings? Those are the wanted feelings, or pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings, and the neutral feelings. So now suffering is what? Is unpleasant feelings. Something that we don't like to accept it. Something that I don't feel comfortable. That is what the suffering is. So it is the feeling that unpleasant feelings. And when that, how this is reflecting, that is a 2 major way, physical and mentalist. Physical way, when the suffering comes, then physical troubles. All the physical troubles can be summarized into the physical feelings. Mental feeling is something that not necessarily immediately started with it physically, but is mentally started. Mentally is also kind of like mind, something that don't want accepted. It's all thought. Mental suffering started with thought. I mean, it's all actually Buddhism. If you read the books of the Buddhism, actually it's all, everything started with the mind. Particularly, for example, mental suffering. Or mental suffering is started with the mind. And how? Again, don't like to, even as a thought, we don't like to accept that thought. Something that we highlighted. We have trillions of thoughts goes through our mental state or our brain status every day. But among that trillion of thought, we highlight one and we don't like to see that. We don't like to see that. As you highlight, we don't like to say, mind is playing the double game and again it becomes more tense. I don't like that. And then you made a kind of another conception thought along that trying to reject that. But thoughts are coming back. Thoughts are coming back. You're trying to reject that. And thoughts are coming, become bigger and bigger. So now almost the mind is playing 2 games. Subject and object within the mental status. That is how the beginning of the mental problem or sufferings. When mental problem sufferings comes, then there is so many, again, psychological troubles, mental problems, emotion troubles, so forth. All that arise one after another. All this way is happening that all is happening on the brain or the mental states. All is happening. When sense mind is become so powerful, it rules the whole our environment. Mind is the ruler of our environments. Sense is ruling, then it is settling in the brain or the mental status. It becomes stronger and strong. Then, of course, when it becomes stronger, strong, and our wind, according to Buddhism, our wind is become more stronger. The running wind on the physical is become more stronger, more rapidly moving. When wind is running, mind is joining and is going to circulating through all the nerve systems, brains, and then according to Vajrayana or the esoteric Buddhism, and the chakras and channels and all, it's just become. Then it created very unpleasant environment in the mental status. And that is known as then the mental sickness or mental feelings, mental problems. And that is, as I said, emotions related, psychologically, or anything that. All those troubles came one after that. Even though it's mentally related, that truly we go through that. It's not something that it's my mind, it is just it goes away. Because our mind is supported to that. Our conception is supported to what we started, is continually maintaining, and then it becomes the troubles. So now how to heal this? Heal all these troubles. If we divide again, I went back to this. What we discussed is first to is feeling. Feeling can be divided into two. And this time we're talking more about the feeling of the suffering or the unpleasant. And the suffering can be divided into two, physically and mentally. These two. Now, how to heal? To heal is, as in the Buddha's teaching, or those great masters always said, teaching the substances, and then as well as the mantra, meditation, and then what's called substance, mantra, meditation, and then overall kind of a attitude or how we will take care of this. So those are the four things. So now when we have the trouble of this, if we're looking through the point of the substance levels, what means substance levels? Substance, according to Buddhism, is, for example, all the medicines, herbal medicines, as well as like modern scientifically developed medicines, whatever those are related with the substances, and our kind of like way eating good food or the healthy living standard, all those things are known as substances. So whatever, for example, to heal these things, difficulties, then go to kind of experts such as doctors. Doctors, they give the instructions. Whatever they say, whatever those experienced doctors say, according whatever you like to approach, and that will heal. It will help. So that is really known as then the helping through the substances, the different medicines, the different food, and then medicine could be herbal medicine or ancient those technology, ancient those by the Western mind developed or through the experience developed the medicines and use those herbal medicines and all those, anything that is related with the substances. If you take care accordingly and then together with that, when they give also the instructions that where you're living, where your activity, where your behaviors or our behaviors, right? You understand behaviors, so all the conduct, all these things is known as the substances. So use those techniques and apply that. Definitely, it will help that. So this is one of the techniques through the substances. And then through the mantras. Mantra is a secret sound, secret words, and there is many mantras again. And through the mantras, then you can also heal that. Not just only the mantra. According to Buddhism, mantra goes with meditation. Not just you're reciting, chanting something, but also with meditation, you're concentrating that. So as you meditate, reciting those sacred words, what it does, it deep down is really like clearing and touching to our mental status. Mantra and meditation both deals with the mind. And that's what called. Mantra is Sanskrit word. If we translated that into English, mantra means protector of the mind. One protector, or the secret sound that will protecting our emotion mind, or duality mind. That is what the mantra is. And so, reciting the mantra with the concentration, with the meditations. If you're reciting the mantra, that when you're reciting the mantra, immediately it really affects us to our system of all the chakras and channels. It is when you're reciting the mantra, it's not just only wobbling on the here, but it's all going, that sound systems are going all the way to our physical systems. So in the way, reciting mantra is like sound therapist. It's really going through everywhere and cleansing and transcendenting and then healing all those scars of the emotions or the feelings, that really healing completely that. And that is known as reciting the mantra. Practice it, through that will heal. And then through the meditations. Meditation is, according to Buddhism, is very profound, because it is all generally this started with these uncomfortable feelings. Start with the mind, so that it goes to the root. Meditation goes to the root, and when you're meditating, that it really cleans away that. And then also during the meditation, generally there is also quite a few different ways. The first of all, that when you started this meditating, first also in the Buddha teaching said, this suffering is not just happening by itself, as we said before. It has cause and conditions. This cause and conditions is maybe something really connected with us, that ourself. In Buddhism, you all know, basically, we're not first time in this human world. This is not our first time we are here. We've been here in the samsara so many lifetimes. That time, we also did similar activities. And that activity is known as then karmas. Karmas are not, of course, not bad. There is good karma, bad karma, and neutral karmas. But this suffering is related with something, according to Buddhism, is something that the action that which is not pleasing things at that time. And because of that shadow, what we started it, that shadow is affecting us now. So therefore, it's not just happening by itself. It is something that maybe has to do with our own action. So now I'm going to purify that. With that attitude, with that understanding, we do the meditation. And then who did that karma? Karma is no other than our mind. Fundamentally, it's our mind. And who is doing our meditation? It's our mind. So now mind is using the purifying what the mind did before. It's like homeopathic systems, using the antidote, the same thing, to remove that obstacles or that uncomfortable things. So using the mind power and then cleansing, healing the root of those suffering and the difficulties. So if you must know those meditation and use meditation. Meditating such as shamatha meditations, insight meditations. Both are important. Shamatha is very good because it will bring down our mind, more settling, more gentling, more stable status. Insight meditation will bring the whole inner natures. It kind of opening the window. It brings the skylight to our mind, mental state. So we are totally, completely vast and infinite in freedom status. Relaxing on that nature status. In that nature, when you relax in that nature state, even there is no even the names of suffering, the difficulties are existing at all. It's all healed, all blended in, all transcendent, liberated within that nature status. And that is known as basically healing by the meditation of the sufferings. This. And then this. So that's it. So about the substances, about the mantras, about the meditations. That. And then meditation also sometimes there's like such as Dzogchen meditations. Sometimes said that time you're not looking, searching any of those kind of thinking, intellectual, anything that, but immediately when we see these difficulty sufferings, immediately that time look into direct to your own mind. Without kind of going analyzing status, immediately look into your own mind. Who is experiencing suffering? Who is saying that it is suffering? When you ask that question and look to your mind, there's nothing really answers at all. There's nothing you find. And then you reach that, is according to Dokji teaching or the Buddha teaching, you reach the highest state of nature. There's no more answers at all. You reach to the speechless status. Relax in that nature status. It's all mental provocations, mental games. You relax in that. They freed out of that all and they relax on that nature status. It is then known as a healing the sufferings through the meditations levels. Then the fourth one is the attitudes. Attitude is again when the suffering, the difficulty comes. What are we thinking? Now, most of the time, we kind of project and suffering, the difficulty comes somewhere outside to us. That's what we're really projecting that most of the time. And when this is happening or that happened before or there's an effect now, what happened to attitude? We have to keep the attitude of the positives. Positives. Such as that of this happening, I'm not going to pay attention with this. I'm not going to pay attention with that. And at the same time, I'm going to excuse that. I'm going to forgive that. I'm going to not bother with that now. I'm going to let it go. That happening. I'm going to let it go. This case, I forgive this, or I excuse that. And when you have that mental attitude, that is positives. We're cleansing and purifying that. That, at the same time, is healing to us. You're really giving that. This is like one of the very special attitude, positive attitude, that we can forgive, we can excuse. And we accept that. That means you accept courageously, fearlessly, you accept that, and now you're not going to think of that all the time. Just let it go. You forgive it. You accept. And when you do this, what is called in Buddhism? It's bodhisattvas. That is bodhisattva. You're not chasing that shadow and let it go. You're going to stay in the now and you're going to look into the future. Not going to bother by what happened in the past or what happening now. I'm going to look future. I forgive, I excuse, and I'm letting go this. If you have this thought, that is one of the very beautiful attitude that we really healing the suffering and the difficulties. Also, then another word, also difficulty, troubles when it comes. According again, another attitude that was the famous master known as Shanti Deva. He said in the teaching, this is one of the very famous. He said, when suffering, the difficulties happening to us, again, as he said before, it's not happening by itself. It has cause and condition. That so it's something because maybe we are connected to that. So now I'm cleansing, I'm purifying. I'm cleansing, I'm purifying, and I'm happy. I'm better, I have to deal these things. Sooner or later, I'm happy to deal now. I'm cleansing and purifying. I'm going to accept that. It's like same time when we're cleansing the chimney, or when we're cleansing septic systems. When you clean the septic systems, sure we won't feel happy, that smell. I don't know. But we were happy, we're cleansing. We're cleaning, it needs to be cleaned one day or sooner. The septic system or the chimney, it have to be cleaned one day. So I'm dealing now, not too late. It's better now than too late. Let I'm cleansing. And therefore, I'm cleansing, I'm purifying, well, I have the capabilities, and with that attitude, and really let it go. Let it go. It's true, according to Buddha's teaching, this is not just happening by itself. It's not just coincidental. Suffering is difficult. It has many factors. From our side, from other side factors, but if we let it go, except it won't create more shadow, more difficult things. So therefore, then we cleared away that. So, and that is the reason. Then this attitudes, all is very special way to heal suffering and difficulties. And so that is generally kind of how healed, very kind of like brief explanation or talk about how to heal the sufferings. And then many times, as I said, suffering, as I said quite a few times already, that suffering is not really always bad. And the suffering, if you look to the other side of the suffering, it brought so many good results. It gives us stone, makes ourselves stone. It makes ourselves more kind of thoughtful to the others. It makes ourselves more humble and more humid, more respectful. It makes better knowledge to all the system of the world, how things are. And it gives then ourselves more hardy, strong, more compassionate mind, more soft heart mind. And this is what the suffering does. If everything is so good and all this, we won't have this kindness, the compassion, and thoughtful really things. It makes ourselves more humble, simple, more down to the earth. Suffering is not always bad. But of course, when it comes to the earth, then it's a little difficult, challenging. Those are different ways to understand it. We can overcome that, and then you use that suffering to grow to our natural realization, to deepen our qualities, to grow our beautiful quality of the fearlessness, love, and kindness, compassion to the other beings, and truly then it makes ourselves very beautiful beings in this world, the shining stars that really we can help to ourselves, help to our family, friend, and with that knowledge and understanding. So that's how the suffering is, and how suffering we can heal the suffering into something more positive, more beautiful, more beneficial way. And that is my brief talk about this evening. If you have some questions, and I'm happy to discuss. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for that, all of that.
Thank you.
I was wondering about the comment that you made regarding when you are meditating and you ask your mind who is suffering and there's no answer. Immediately I'm thinking that no matter what there will be an answer. I'm suffering, this people is suffering, this country is suffering, these people are suffering, this land is suffering. Is there no answer when you've practiced a great deal, or is that, I'm just having a hard time understanding that.
That is like, for example, particularly to heal our sufferings. What I said, that when you ask that question, who is suffering? And if we are going really heavy, our mind or ourselves, individuals are going very heavy-hearted in mind, and this really making pressure to ourselves, that time you should think, and this is one of the techniques, then you should think, who is feeling that? Who is thinking that? Who is that thinker? Who is that thinker? Who is feeling that? If we look to ask that question and look to that present moment, to your mind, right that moment, then there is no answers. That is like, it's not something that we're trying to hide and escape from the feelings, but that is really the nature of the mind. If you look to generally every this object, everything looks like a truly existing, but if you look, investigate, analyze that every items and every this molecules, every this system, there's nothing substantially existing core at all to anything. Therefore, is what in Buddhism is called relative truths. All is relatives. All is relative. There's no substantial solid existence. So this is the way the universe is, like as an illusion, magical displays. Similarly, suffering, the difficulty, all these things are magical display of the illusions. So now, for example, I'm suffering, I'm experiencing difficulties, that and all these things. But when that happens, strong, tense thought happening, then you ask, who is me? Who is me? Who is saying that I'm suffering? Where is that me saying suffering? If you ask that question, put that inquiry to your mind and to your feeling, there is no answers and there is nothing that you can find. That is the state of the free from suffering. That state is free from suffering. But due to our dualities, due to our grasping, clinging, feeling, and attachment to the sensitives, it won't last a long time. But it is really you healing that moment. That moment you heal that all that conception or the feeling, that suffering thought into the wisdom or into the great emptiness status. So you really, the way this suffering come from actually, where that come from, is also come from the great emptiness or the great wisdom. So it went really back to that nature status. Now again, due to our unfamiliar of the meditation of absolute truth, it won't last a long time, definitely. Maybe next second it will come back, but however, that's the one way to heal this. But if you're thinking of all the other pain and sufferings, you can think that technique, you can think, but at the same time, you really put a lot of aspiration, bodhicitta prayers, such as mantra, meditation, wish, no more suffering, such as in Buddhism, in Mahayana Buddhism, there's called four boundless prayers. May every living being free from sufferings. May they ever have always have the happiness. May they always stay the joy, and if I join that whole praise, may all sentient beings happiness and cause of happiness. May all living beings free from sufferings, cause of sufferings. May they always have the supreme happiness which is free from sufferings. May they always have the great equanimity understanding, great equality understanding all the time. So really chant that kind of prayers, which every sentient being is free from all the suffering, the difficulty, sincerely thinking from the bottom of your heart, with such as the prisms of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas or enlightened, chant that. That is you're really sending the great healing message, healing energies to whole world. Even though it looks like so small that I'm doing this, maybe it's not an effort, but according to Buddha teaching, that will have the ripple effect. Really, it will affect to all everywhere. It really will help. That's help. So it is very special, very good to do. Okay. Yeah, here's one.
There's no I.
Yeah.
Does that mean there also is no suffering? That all suffering is an illusion?
Yeah, that's true. It's true in the Buddha's teaching, or according to the true level, reality level, there is no I. And then what do you say? No suffering?
Well, if there's no I, then there can be no suffering.
There is no sufferings.
Yeah.
That's true. Then there is no sufferings. That's true. Therefore, have you ever read Heart Sutra? There is a sutra called Heart Sutras. there's no I, there's no, all this teaching said, and there's no sufferings. There's no suffering free from sufferings. True. So all those teachings said, so is beyond all the levels of the conceptions. Conceptions, they are true. There's according absolute level. In the Buddha's teaching, say there's no I, is only on the absolute level. On the relative level, yes, there is I. There is you, there is me. Even Buddha Shakyamuni said, I am staying in the Vachuspik mountain, or I am in Varanasi with my students. Buddha said, so in the relative level, truly there is I, but absolutely level, there is no I, as most of us think as thought.
So on the relative level, there is suffering?
Definitely. Relative level suffering, that's what we have to do, healing power, substance healing, mantra healing, meditation healing, attitude healing, all those are on the relative level, and the suffering is a relative level. Truly we have sufferings on the relative levels. Yeah, in a relative level, we all know this is nothing, something new, that we have a lot of difficulties and changes in our lives. Time we born, as I said, and time we go. In the Buddhism said, time when we born is also when we are taking the birth, even though we don't remember, but our birth is not always pleasant. It's not pleasant to the mother, it is not pleasant to the child who is taking the birth. And then when you grow up, there is also a lot of difficulties, troubles. And then getting old is not easy. And then similarly, sickness is not easy. And then living this body is not easy. So those are kind of major, uncomfortable things that we have to go through. And then beside, there is so many groups of these feelings that comes. See, it is all definitely relative truth, relatives. Okay. Yes, thank you. Oh. Yeah, Dennis.
It's funny. Just last night, I was thinking about you leaving Tibet and this incredible, what I would consider incredible suffering that you went through. And it's really hard to get your mind around. There's such a strong compulsion to want fewer things to go bad in my life, want less hardship. And then, then I think of you and it's like, oh, it's nothing compared to that. But still, I'm not sure exactly what my question is, but it's like there's a desire to accept what is, but there's also a desire to have what is be nice. And I don't know, is it just a balance? Like, you're obviously, it makes sense to try and make things sort of nice, but it's like, I get so tired of hardship.
Definitely, the suffering and hardship is difficult, really difficult. But however, I think, as I said, it's not just I'm saying this, but it's true. We all have to go through. This is not something that one is exceptional. That even the enlightened beings, an external level of how their feelings are, of course, is not really as we are. What we feel is suffering. Their feelings are different. But external level, they went through a lot of hardships and difficulties. And then we are going that. And it took, and within ourselves, each purpose, that's what in the Buddhism called karma, or Buddha teaching say, the karma. But individually, we all have the different varieties of the challenge, the difficult. Each of us has these things. And then also we have very similar kind of challenges that we all share together, these things. So the group level kind of similar, but individually again quite different. These all go through this. But whatever it is I think that the most important, that is all the experience, those great teachings say that we have to really be very courageous and strong and accepting their situation. And accept the situation is really mean that we just live like that. But with that acceptance, we're trying to solve the problem. We're trying to heal the two problems. That if we do this and we use those as like kind of like reminders or as like or make ourselves stronger and courageous ones to really help to the others and they kind of know that by our difficulties and troubles and sufferings knows that how others are going through that, and we see this and kind of then more compassionate, more kind, more brave, but trying to support and help that. Those all activity will also really will heal to our difficult troubles too. So that is really what that you can heal yourself. You're trying to heal others and support and help that. And then also same time, as you said, when you thinking of the purpose, like kind of for me, like when we left the Tibet, all the more refuge and all these things, and the frightening situation, they really go through this. And it's not just that they don't have the troubles at all, but they have all the troubles what we have now, but beside they have troubles, then losing their lives, they're losing their families immediately there, so they escaping from the really dangerous place, how they are frightened. And plus maybe they don't have the food, they don't have the clothes, wearing that. So they have more extra troubles and difficulties also really that. And seeing those things, they can more compassion, more kind, they do a lot of praise or whatever we can help, support in the according to our capabilities. Those are really known as then virtuous activity and the dharma activity, positive activity. It heals to ourselves karma and the difficulty, it then benefiting to the others. So those which is wonderful, really wonderful. At the same time, when we see those difficult troubles in other part of the world, all this, and when you look to us, then we also should have a lot of reason to feel happy and joy. How grateful, how beautiful, how nice, and it's just being grateful, gratitude, and all those things really is important. This is like many times that's what the sufferings are, reminding of our joy and our appreciations, our gratitude to see that. So all those reasons, the sufferings are not like bad as what many times we think that is. It has beautiful other qualities that really brings good things.
Yeah, I think there's an aspect of maybe incorrectly assuming that it means I'm doing things wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If I'm having troubles. And so do you think that what I'm hearing you say maybe is the key is to stop thinking about myself and let the suffering help me remember to develop compassion.
Yeah, that's really true. Of course, it doesn't mean that you stop yourself thinking that. Definitely, you have to think how to solve the problem, your best capabilities, whatever the way to really make that more comfortable, more easy, and that definitely we need. But same time, we should really also take that example and then trying to also as much as you can help to the other beings. According in the Buddha's teaching, or the great master Shantideva was one of the teachings, thinking of our sufferings, and that kind of combined that with bodhicitta. So my suffering becomes the may substitute the suffering of all the sentient beings, every living being not experience any sufferings because my this difficulty troubles. And when you have that courage and confidence, commitment, and that is really again another big way to develop your courage, your confidence, fearlessness, and at the same time is a great bodhisattva activities. There's so many stories that Buddha gave his own lives to benefit to the other beings. Even we couldn't do that stage like as that, but at least our current situation, circumstances, what we're going through that difficult, kind of use that and make this become substitute of everyone's difficulty, sufferings. So there never been any. No one is suffered like what I'm that my suffering become the substitute of others.
And so, is there, in the future or something, a time when there won't be suffering?
According to Buddha's teaching, when you become Buddha, then there's no more sufferings.
And there's no more
Sufferings.
Even if things happen, even if something hurts you, it's just that then the attitude doesn't allow.
That's true. When you reach enlightenment, that means when you realize the true nature, absolute truth as it is, when you realize it, then even though it looks like suffering, but it's not really suffering. Even this is just let's say example, when you're dreaming now, when you're dreaming in the nightmare, if you recognize that nightmare is nightmare, it's a dream, it's not just really happening. So then you won't have the pressure of the nightmare. Rather it become like playful. So that's this. So this is all that when we when we get a realization of the absolute truth exactly as it is, this is all display. Is all play shows. Even though there's ups and downs, different things, but our mind had to understand what it is. So it is like playful. It's just like nothing really absolute level happening. But for us, this moment when these things happen is really truly happening. Happening is so solid, it's so strong, so truth, and then it's crashing. The reality level, whether you have the realization or not realizing, reality level is like all magic shows. All magic.
Magic?
Yeah, all is magic, all is like a display. Okay. Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Khenpo.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming back to Portland.
Thank you.
I have a question that has to do with people who have spent much time and years in war zones.
Say that again.
People who have spent years in a war zone and then come back and practice and meditation, purification, vajrasattva, and correct attitude, and do quite well, Tonglen, and also may my suffering be of all beings who are suffering the same at this very moment, but yet, and can keep pretty a present state, except for when something happens in the environment which immediately transports the body back to that state of the war zone, whereas the body is just gone with the reaction of a prior experience in the past. Even to the point where your mind, you can know that that's what's happening. You're having a flashback, and you can go to mantra or various Tonglen practices or breathing, even just trying to bring yourself back. But the body has responded so strongly that it's very hard to do that. Do you have any recommendations, or it almost seems like at that point the body is separate from the mind?
I think so. Really, I will say still, even though that's happening, I will say still trying to keep up the attitude, and as well as mantra, meditation, and all the healthy experts like the instructions, whatever really the best, trying to keep up that. So I think really those are the best, but keep the positive mind, keep the kind of like courage, and like keep the hope. I think keep the hope and keep the confidence, and with that, and then do all those like spiritual, like meditation, mantra, then that, and then together with the expert, those doctors' instructions, really be strong, and then also listen with our friend, family members, how they can help, their kind of advice, anything if they have got those, really keep up that, but shouldn't lost their or like vision or the goal or the hope, and keep up that, still keep up the happy and the joy that I'm beautiful human beings, I'm good, I'm just really don't feel like kind of like trying to not feel kind of like very hopeless and just like lost everything. Really bring up that. Even we're going through that tunnel, in a way a tunnel, that there is a window of light if you keep the courage and confidence and your vision and the goal, identity up that, and keep the principles. And our attitude really is, I think, is really important. And with that, then, this Dharma, like spiritual meditation, Tonglen, breathing, all those wonderful mantras, that definitely help. But this is just one of the obstacles. Obstacles we go through this. Even the great practitioners went through so many obstacles. Even we read life stories, like, all those great masters. And in the ancient time now too, there's so many great practitioners, so masters. When we read life stories, they had a lot of also very kind of good days and sometimes very difficult, hard days. But their goal, they lost it, their hope or the vision, their identity, their principle, they lost it, and that really brought up that, then become that. So I will say the same way, apply that techniques and just keep up that, really that, and trying to bring more joy, more appreciation, not looking always the weak side of our things, what happened in the life, we kind of not thinking. But even when we can make the mistakes, we can happen, these things happen. We give excuse, we forgive, we accept it, and keep the vision and the goal. I think really can change, that we can turn that back.
Yeah, the forgiveness and the acceptance is a big part, and I know the neuroscientists are saying now that mantra is one of the best things that can be done. My question is, even with the acceptance and the forgiveness and the practice, that it seems like the body sort of separates from the mind at that point.
Yeah. That could be, sometimes that could happen at that, but definitely if we keep the vision, if we give the call, keep the goal, vision and identity, and still kind of like keep the looking upward, really not just down, looking upward, kind of held, what's called heads held high, and be strong, and keep doing the things that what you need to be good to do, what as doctor says, really that I think really we can change that. And that, but however, we should also, all these past things, whatever happened in things, we have to accept that. We have to accept it in a general level, individual level, and very personal level, we have to accept. And we have to accept, and at the same time, let it go. Let it go. There's many times those things are not holding back, past our memories, past this and that things we hold back, that then it just become the past, we're chasing still past. Now, is that maybe happened many years ago, many months ago, long time ago it happened, and still is bring back that kind of shadows our destination, our direction. I think really that. So let it go, give the forgiveness and excuse, and let it go, and then do the purification practice of the Vajrasattvas, and that, it's wonderful. All that, I think really can change that. that. And just whatever that is also, we're not to kind of like hesitating status, and just whatever the situation comes, I'm happy. And there's this one great master known as in the Tibet, Tomi Zongko. He joined in his prayer or his song. Said he got sick that he said, if I'm sick, I'm happy. I'm cleansing, purifying my karmas. If I'm not sick, I'm happy. I can do a lot of good things to benefit to the others. So whatever it is good for me. That's what really he said in the teaching that. And then there's a great master, Lungkimpa. He's one of the, again, great masters. He said similar things. If I'm dying, I'm happy. Happy, that is the journey of the Dharmakaya, or journey to the Dharmakaya. If I'm alive, I'm happy. I can do a lot of continue to do good things, good activities. Is like Nirmakaya status. Nirmakaya can perform a lot of beneficial activities. So whatever the situation comes, I'm happy. And whoever making me trouble, I'm very thankful, because they're the one who really pushed me to this status. That's what I got this result, that statement. So I'm thankful for all those obstacles and those men who made trouble to me. I'm thankful to that. And also he said, this is truly, really, I mean, when we think this, really, what the achievement, what the result, what this great master got, truly that's what, because that situation really brought all that things. So then they become such an open mind and freedom mind. They're not caught in the hop and fear like this, just open.
What you just said brought me back to the songs of Khenpo Sutra, which I have, yes, that are very dear.
Oh, that's wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, okay.
Khenpo, thank you for your teaching and your presence.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Sometimes when I meditate, I get to a wonderful, peaceful state of emptiness. And I don't know why it's up here, but up here, it's like my ego, what some people would call the pain body. And it looks down on me with folded arms and says, all right, just take a few more minutes of bliss, a few more moments, not even minutes, take a few more moments, but then come back. I know I'm grouchy and I've got a lot of grief and pain and anger, and you're much happier there, but people won't recognize you unless you're up here being Daniel. People won't recognize you, and then I go, that's okay, they don't have to recognize me, it's much nicer here. And then the ego up here says, you've worked so many hours and so many years to get to this emptiness, and there's not going to be anybody to enjoy it. So, do I just keep going back there and practice and try and ignore the voice, or do you have any words that the empty me can say to the ego?
So the ego and the empty have a big debate, I think. I think big debate. And I think so you have to say, I'm not going to listen to you, ego. I'm not going to listen to you, ego. I think so maybe that's it. I think this is, I'm very happy that you meditating, and I'm those really good. But however, this is just a little, again, testing or the hindrance that happened to you. But that is what is really the important, not pay attention. Not pay attention at all. It is, fundamentally speaking, it is display or your mind, display of your mind. Mind, there's nothing, is all, mind is playing that game, and so therefore, not pay attention. And then is somebody also a little bit is kind of like hindrance, as I said, and that also happened, for example, Buddha Shakyamuni too. If you read life story, Buddha is going to get enlightenment that night. For example, he sit on the under the Bodhi tree on a full moon night, and then meditating, and then what? There's like, according to the teaching, say the Mara came that, why you stay here? Under this Bodhi, this tree. What are you going to gain? What are you going to gain in back to home? Your kingdom is completely controlling and controlled by or the ruling by the Devadatas and many others. So why you stay here? What you will gain here? Go back to home, and nobody will appreciate you anything. Those really in the teaching said those all came that in a way the obstacles. So similar things. These things are happening, for example, you or many also practitioners can experience these things. But when that happened, our confidence and courages are not really lost or anything and keep strong. And when that happening, generally why this happening? Many times in the teaching said it is because of happening that your practice is going quite good. When your practice is quite good, you will have those experiences. If our practice is not going at all anyway, we won't have any of those experiences. So that actually is a sign of your practice is let it developing and strong, let it stronger. That's what this experience happening. So don't let fall down on those obstacles or those like hindrances. Really keep strong and be meditating and continually, and don't ask those questions, don't listen the answers, any of those. You're trying to stay present state, feel strong presence, such as the Buddha Shakyamuni, all those enlightened bodhisattvas, really they are blessed strongly, and then just not even those feelings are let merge to your emptiness status and free from the egoless state and relax, and that really I think that the best. That's what in the teaching said. That's what we should do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone? No. Yeah. Thank you.
I wanted to ask you about the dreamlike nature of experience. You said earlier, like the magical display.
Mm-hmm.
So the playwright William Shakespeare, in one of his plays, said the world where we live here is really just a stage. And all of this is just actors going back and forth. It's a display. It's like a story. Mm-hmm. So I want to, if you'd say something about the self, because there appears to be all these selves. We relate, we have friendly relationships, but you were saying to look inside to see if that self, the story we have, if that really is true.
Say that again.
The story we have of self, myself. If I look at that, it's all bits and pieces. There's no solid thing there. It's just all stories and stuff. But in the Tantra, with the empowerment to a deity, then you have introduction. You can be a different actor. Instead of this actor, this mask and this costume, this body, that can be like a divine being and play with other beings and do little things to make them happy and see them as enlightened beings. And when I do that for a while, the regular self, I forget. And it's a much nicer act. It's much more fun to do. So, or you're saying, so this examining this hard self, if we look at it and let go or be more playful, see more as magical display, that immediately relieves the suffering. The suffering starts.
But that's definite, yeah, that's definite. When you bring that realization, or when you bring understanding of you become the divine body according to Vajrayana instruction, and then whole universe is transformed, or in that state is a divine state. Not just myself is in that status. That whole everything is in that divine status. So that when we have that realization, when we keep that mental state of meditation, then definitely it changed. Or there's nothing any uncomfortable or anything. It's all is like playful nature status. Really, truly, that is like definitely big transformation. That is immediately transforming suffering into the great divine mandala, or the samsara is immediately transforming in the divine or the Buddha mandalas, and that is also according to Vajrayana teaching. Is not just we're playing games that we are kind of like trying to be pretending that. In the reality level, according to Vajrayana teaching, truly we are in that status. This is like delusion of ours. It's not really. This is what we are now. Is not really. According to Vajrayana teaching, that divine mandala is the real. But why we are not seeing? Because our cataract cataracts of the duality, blurred, and then we are not seeing that. It's blurred, or we diluted ourselves, then we don't see. But reality level, our nature of the mind or nature is so pure. So pure is just a Buddha status. And therefore, our senses are also in the Buddha sense status. Therefore, all the objects of the senses are also in that divine sense status. So therefore, what we call the visualizing, that what we visualize is not we trying to pretend something, but we are really going back to the original state, exactly what we are, and not letting obstructed by the dualities. So that's and when we do that, and when you have that realization, then everything is in the divine, everything is that original enlightened state. So therefore, according to that, most of you know that Buddhahood, enlightenment is not just you trying to gain something that which you're not now. You're coming back to the original state, what you are. So for that reason, that Buddha enlightenment is natural, it is true, is natural, is not artificial, and you're just reclaiming back your status. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you very much everyone. Thank you everyone. Thank you, okay. We do again 1 minute meditation, and then again I'm going to chant for prayer, dedicating that again. May all those what I said before, may all living beings have happiness, cause of happiness. May they free from the sufferings and cause of sufferings. May they have the ultimate state of the happiness or joy and free from the sufferings. And then may they have everlasting realization of the great equanimity. So those are I'm going to pray. So please join your attention with my prayers. First we do just 1 minute silence together. Sonam de Adam de Zupani, Tumneni, Pedana, Pamsi, Jigana, Jebalum, Toyana, Mundara Desa, Gele, Okay, thank you everyone again. Thank you very much everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you very much, everyone.